All right, everyone. Today we are moving on to 5.2. We are going to be working with proportions. What is a proportion? I'm going to include a definition in our agenda post, but basically, a proportion is two ratios that are equivalent. All right, let me show you what I mean by that. Proportions are going to be used a lot as far as, your average person, where you might use it in cooking or baking. For example, I have a bag of rice and it calls for every 1 cup of rice. So I want to make rice to eat as a side. For every 1 cup of rice, you have to add 2 cups of water. Okay, you put them in a pot together, you boil it, let it simmer, you have your rice. Okay, so if I want to make if I just want 1 cup of rice, right, I'm gonna add 2 cups of water. 1 cup of rice is actually a pretty lot. Okay, so say I want to have 2 cups of rice. I would then add 4 cups of water. If I wanted 3 cups of rice, I would have 6 cups of water. In each case, for every 1 cup of rice, there's 2 cups of water. So there's 2 cups of rice here. Each one of those individual cups of rice needs to have 2 cups of water. So it has a total of 4. 3 cups of rice here. You need 2 for every 1 cup you have. So then you have 6. 4 cups of rice would have 8, and so on. Okay. What we need to be able to do is look at 2 ratios, which are basically like fractions, and tell if they're proportional. Now, your book wants you to do it one way. I'm going to show you a second way that in many cases might be quicker. All right. So here we go. Say we are comparing 2 ratios. We have 1/2 and 5/10. And we have to say if they're proportional. Well, basically, when you have 2 ratios, which are like fractions, if they can be simplified down to the same fraction, they are proportional. So in this case, 1/2, we can't simplify that any further, right? Whenever you have 1 in your numerator, your fraction is fully simplified. 5/10, though, we can simplify. 5/10, you can simplify it by 5. 5 divided by 5 equals 1, right? And 10 divided by 5 equals 2. So it simplifies down to 1/2, same as this, okay? So these 2 ratios are proportional. Okay, now if I compared, say, 4/6, and let's go with 18/24. Okay. 4/6 can be simplified. Now we're asked, are these proportional? 4/6 can be simplified. They could both be divided by 2. If I divide 4 by 2, I get 2. And if I divide 6 by 2, I get 3. So I have 2/3. Okay. That can't be simplified any further, right? Because 2 can be divided by 2, but 3 can't. 3 could be divided by 3, but 2 can't. So that's as far as you can simplify that. 18/24 right. Let's just start simplifying it by 2. Divide it by 2, end up with 9. Divide this by 2, I end up with 12. That could be simplified further. I can divide it by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So now I can't simplify that any further. Now my two ratios have simplified to 2 over 3 and 3 over 4. Neither of these can be simplified any further, so that's a no. They are not proportional. Okay, so basically if you're comparing two ratios, you simplify them down. If the simplified ratios are not the same, they're not proportional, they're not equivalent. Okay, but if they are the same, they are proportional. All right, let me show you a different way of determining if two ratios are proportional. So I'm going to go back to the first ones I had. 1/2. Now let me write that a little lower. 1/2 and 5/10. 1 over 2, 5 over 10. 1 cup of rice, 2 cups of water. 5 cups of rice, 10 cups of water. What I could do is cross multiply. So that's ugly. I take my 2, multiply it by the 5. 10 multiplied by the 1. Draw these little arrows, right? Plug in my calculator if I have to, right? But hopefully you could do this in your head. 2 times 5 is going to give me 10. 10 times 1 gives me 10. If you do this cross multiplying and you get the same number, then they're proportional. So you're going to say, yes, proportional. All right, I got sloppy there. Let's do the other example we had. 4 over 6, 18 over 24. All right, you take 6 times 18, 24 times 4. All right, 6 times 18 is going to give me 108. 24 times 4 is going to give me 96. So you could say no, not proportional. Yeah. Anyway, so you might have a preference for one method and use that one all the time, or it might depend on the numbers. Sometimes you could just glance at the numbers and simplify them in your head. Sometimes you could just glance at the numbers and multiply them in your head. Whatever works, okay? If you have a calculator handy, this is a very quick method, okay? Let's do a couple more examples. Let's say I had 10 over 3 and 5 over 6, and I'm just going to use my shortcut method that I told you about. So if I do 6 times 10, 3 times 5. All right, so 3 times 5 is going to give me 15. 6 times 10 is going to give me 60. So the answer is no. Not proportional, right? Not the same number. Let's do another example. One more. I have 25 over 20 and 15 over 12. I'm going to break out the calculator for these. All right. So 20 times 15, it's going to give me 300. Okay. And then 12 times 25 is going to give me 300. So my shortcut method tells me they are proportional. Now let's think about this. We could simplify it. 25 and 20 are both divisible by 5. All right, so 25 divided by 5 would be 5. 20 divided by 5 would be 4. Okay. 15 and 12 are both divisible by 3. 15 divided by 3 would be 5. and 12 divided by 3 would be 4. So you can see how both methods work. Okay, so this one is a yes. All right, so your problems are going to